If you've been going through your dark night of the soul and you've been doing well at being present and building your awareness as to your situation, what's going on, and you've been mindful and practicing that, but you feel that nothing's really been changing or shifting, then this video is going to shine some light on what's actually going on here. You see, a lot of people believe, well, they're told that awareness is what you need, or just be present with the feelings or the emotions or whatever it is, and just notice and don't try to change anything, but just notice. And that's important, right? Awareness and presence is definitely important, but it's not what ends the dark night of the soul. It's not what, in my experience, makes the progress. You see, the dark night it's not actually a spiritual problem. From what I've experienced, it's really an energy problem. And I'm going to explain more what I mean by that in a moment, but the nervous system is more involved than we realize. And there's all this gunk and rust that builds up in our system that contributes to the things that we need to work through in the dark night. And being aware of them is simply not enough to have them release or let them go. So, look, my name's Andre, and I went through my dark night for years. And I tried all of the things, and I always kept looking for a better way, a better tool, something that would actually make me feel a significant shift of progress and step forward in the right direction. And it took me a long time because I had to figure a lot of it out for myself because of all of the conventional advice that's out there of just notice, just be present, don't try to change anything. I was like, I want to change things, like, come on, let's move a little faster here. That's just my nature. So now I share that with you here, and for people that want more support, I coach them as well. But if you've been doing really well with your practice of awareness and you feel like you haven't made much progress, then keep watching this video. I think it's going to give you some answers you might be looking for. So let's start with the trap of awareness, why this can be a trap and why people can stay stuck here. And I certainly felt like I was as well. So if you think about, let's say, meditation, mindfulness, right? That's one strong or one popular tool that people use to kind of work on themselves spiritually, mentally, emotionally. And the core lesson that's taught usually in most meditation is, they say, be aware of the thoughts, but focus on the breath. And when you're aware of the thoughts, they come from wherever they come from. You are aware of them, and then you bring your attention back to your thought. You just back to your breath, and you just let the thought go. Or you let it continue, really, is what you do. And so with the spiritual experience and the path of the dark night of the soul, right? Let's say you are in some mental emotional state or rut. Like I knew I was low self-esteem. I knew I was lonely. I knew I was in, I don't want to say depression, but depressive like symptoms. There's a really good book out there called It's Not Always Depression. That book changed my life. And you can notice this and you can be in it and not try to change it. And you're like, okay, I'm in it and I'm aware of it. Now what? Like, this sucks, right? And that's what I don't know why that's the conventional wisdom, but it is. So when you're aware of it, it doesn't move it, because that experience, the stuff that's keeping you there is very sticky. And being aware doesn't change the stickiness. It doesn't do any releasing. It doesn't do any letting go. And when it comes to meditation, if you've done any meditation at all, I've done a lot of it before I transitioned and figured out my new process, which is kind of tricky to explain. But the thing with meditation is that I think it's actually a very subtle form of avoidance of the real problem. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people don't want to face the discomfort. They don't want to face the underlying root cause of the dark night of the soul, for example. And so the popular wisdom of just focus on the breath and just let your thoughts come and go, it doesn't make forward progress on, let's say it's like a negative thought pattern, right? Or an intrusive thought pattern, one that's kind of keeping us stuck in this rut of rumination and worry. You can watch that all day long. It's not going to change it. It's not going to shift. I know because I've lived it. And so this is what I think the problem is. There's not enough answers out there of, okay, I'm aware, I can see this thing, right? It's like a friend or one of my old clients, actually, he had a really good analogy. He was talking about it in regards to therapy with his therapist, but it can be similar if you're on your path with your going through the dark night. He said, it helped me take off, or not really take off, but it helped me look into the backpack that I've been carrying of all the stuff, right? All the heavy stuff. It helped me open the backpack and look into it and observe it. And I was aware of it and I was present with it. But it didn't help me take things out of the backpack. The backpack didn't necessarily get lighter. And I think that's the case with most modalities and most wisdom out there today, most conventional wisdom out there today, such as meditation, such as awareness, such as presence, such as therapy. It teaches you or it trains you and shows you how to be aware, but not actually remove anything. So you can look at your loneliness and say, okay, yes, this is how I feel. I guess I'll just sit here and be with it. You could look at your depression. You can look at your, I don't like that word, but you can look at your negative, your low energy emotional states. You can look at the ruminating thoughts, the worry. You can look at all of those darker aspects, right? But if they're still in the backpack, they're still in the backpack. And so the awareness it's a great step one. You have to start there. It really does start with awareness. I believe that. And that's not where you stop. That is not going to end the dark night alone. So maybe if you journal, just take a moment to like, and journaling is another way, right? You can be aware, but just write some things down of like what you've been aware of, but those things that haven't shifted yet. See if you can make a list, or just do it in your mind, right? Of just what those are. Just make note, like, yeah, I've been aware of these things, but nothing's changed yet. And so I share this because I've been through it myself. I lived this. And it took me a long time to find a better way because I had read all of the books. I mean, let's take a step back to start. I was going downhill mentally, emotionally. I did not like where I was headed. And, I was in therapy and that wasn't making the progress that I needed it to. I was too high functioning and I would outsmart my therapists. Even though I wanted help, they couldn't break through all of the walls and the masks that I had. And I might have had some depressive-like symptoms that were subtle, but none of my therapists said, "Oh yeah, this is what it is," right? Because I wasn't clinically depressed or anything like that. So I read a ton of books, watched a bunch of videos. I mean, on YouTube, right? Tried all of the things I could get my hands on, meditation included. What else? Like float tanks, cold plunges, breath work, acupuncture, exercise, not exercising. I lived on an island for a few years. Like I tried so many things and I just wasn't making the progress. But the most important thing is that you keep going. And so as I kept going, I eventually refined a process that I was like, I think this is working. I think this is actually doing something. And over time, I confronted my demons. I was able to let go of the things that were repeatedly showing up and holding me back. I was able to not just be aware of, but also process and release these darker aspects of the spiritual journey and the dark night. And no one taught me this. And over time, I was able to finally feel lighter and lighter and lighter and more joy and happier on a consistent basis. And this goes back to what I said earlier at the beginning of this video, that it's an energy problem. This isn't a spiritual, I'm looking for this enlightenment moment. I'm not looking for this awakening moment, this ayahuasca trip or this psilocybin trip, and then, it's over. What needs to happen is we need to process what's been happening in our mind and in our body that's been keeping us stuck in this mode, in this way. And as you do the processing, that's when progress is made. So at the beginning of this video, I mentioned that it's an energy problem and the nervous system is more involved. And so here's the turning point of the dark night of the soul from what I've experienced and what I've started to see in my clients as well, which is pretty amazing. The moment that you feel something shift, the first moment that you actually can tell and you can sense that, oh, in that moment just now, I processed something and it released a little bit. That is the turning point. That is when you realize, like, oh, I just did something. And it wasn't just an awareness. It wasn't just a meditation. It wasn't just a journal entry or a cognitive processing. From the best way I can describe it is it's a type of self energy work. And I stumbled upon this when I was living in Puerto Rico. It was 2019. And I was just sitting there in it all, with it all, and just trying different things to get something to shift. And I felt a little fizzle, a little, like almost like a little firework, like a little thing dissolved. And I came back and I was like, I feel lighter. And I came back the next day and did it again. I felt lighter, and did it the next day and did it again and felt lighter. And that's when things finally started shifting. That was the turning point because I felt a difference. I actually felt something shift, and it was productive. And that's what reorganized my system. See, that's the turning point. That's the processing that no one talks about in the dark night of the soul. It's a processing, a reorganization that needs to happen. It's this built up gunk that we've suppressed over the decades of our lives. I'm 34 now. I was, what, 28, I think, when I started a lot of this. And you build up all this gunk and residue and like internal mental, emotional, energetic rust inside the body. And it's all just sticky and it's all just there and it's keeping us slow and stuck and gunky. And it affects our mental, emotional state and it affects the nervous system. That's why I said earlier that the nervous system is involved. And so as you do the processing and not just the awareness, as you learn to let this stuff go, as you learn to release, that is what makes the progress. That's the productive part of the dark night of the soul. And it's a journey, it's a path, it takes time. And so we all have whatever amount of stuff that we've built up inside of us. And it's simply a process of starting to release it and let it go. Like if we have this much, okay, well, we need to slowly start decreasing that amount. And it sounds crazy. At least it might sound crazy to you, but this is why I say it's an energy problem. We have all this energy inside that's built up and we need to let it go. And it even sounds crazy to me, at least it did at the start, but I went to UC Berkeley for software engineering. And so I got really good at debugging computer problems and working with code and finding root cause solutions to things, right? This is the same thing with being a human, with our human system. You see, our body, our humanness is basically like a super quantum computer, right? We're pretty incredible beings, if we have to say so ourselves. And I ended up just debugging my own system and finding the real problems at the root level. And this is what it came down to. So if for no other reason, being a Silicon Valley software engineer, this is what I came to. And it still surprises me to this day, but it's the most consistent thing that's worked. And I still use it to this day to not just heal what needs healing, there's always going to be some of that, but to optimize and to go to the next level. Because once you've processed a lot of the darker side, you can process that and then you can transition into the optimization side and work on the light work, not just the shadow work, the light work, and also the the success you want to call into your life, the prosperity, the abundance, that's all available to you. It's really hard, though, to sense that or believe it or feel the possibility of it when we have carried all this gunk for so long, all this rust. The dark night, in my opinion, in my experience, and what I've seen in my clients, is you process and you release the gunk and the rust. That's the dark night part. And then let's call it, I don't know, the bright day that's next, right? Then you can create your life. The dark, and it's a yin yang, right? It's always, you're not 100% done ever with this. There's always more events and life happens. And, there's always family drama or whatever the thing is, right? That contributes, in my case, a lot of family dysfunction. There's always going to be a little bit of that. But once you know how to process it, it doesn't seem so bad anymore because you know what to do. And you get to a point where you've done enough where you're like, I am actually feeling significantly better. And I'm transitioning into the day, out of the night and into the day. And there's still, you walk around the day, there's shadows all the time, right? And so there's always going to be some, but you transition and then you start creating the life you want and living more aligned. This is what I've experienced. I don't know if this resonates. I hope it does. If it does resonate, please drop a comment below and share whatever you're comfortable sharing. In another video, I talk about the dark night of the soul in a bit more kind of detail, and that's this video here. So go ahead and watch this next, and I'll see you over there.